Hey, you brilliant, beautiful patriots and researchers. What's up, Q Army? You guys ready? Let me hear ya. Boom, boom, boom. Choice to know is you. It's for you. We're Q. You're Q. It's the information, folks. Where we go one, we go all. Fight, 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 and fight we will. We fight every day right here on the Matrix Groove Hour. God bless you all. Thank you very much for joining us today. It is 1:14 in the Latrix time. It is April 30th, 2020. Yeah, I'll show you why I was late in a second, but before we do that, let me bring in my partner in justice, Shady Groove. Shady.
I wasn't late.
Yeah, you were. I'm not crying, you're crying.
Were you blaming me for being late?
I'm not late, you're late.
You called me a latte.
Shady latte.
Good morning, everyone.
With 3 A's. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. We have people worldwide tuning into this broadcast every day. And for that, I am grateful, Shady.
I am very grateful as well, and so grateful for all the people that joined us last night on Blessed to Teach. That was such fun hanging out with Rick and Gene and going through some of the new stuff and some of the old stuff and getting some feedback from people. That was a fun occasion. Yeah,
it was really nice to be with Blessed to Teach again and finally meet Gene. He's been doing a great job. I really have a good. We have a good rapport. I think we came off pretty well, and them teaching us stuff and we teaching them stuff. We're just blessed to teach.
And that's just a whole lot of winning.
That's just a whole lot of winning. And I am tired, guys.
You're tired from winning.
Exactly, tired from winning.
I never get tired of winning.
Not of winning, and this is a big club, and we're all in it together, Shady.
We are in it together.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Grass Valley, California. Nice to see you.
Yeah, we got Joe Ray Perkins. Good morning, Patriots. Wow, we should have her on real soon. What do you think, Shady?
Yeah, I think I want to get her on real soon. You guys want to hang out with Joe Ray again sometime, maybe next week or something?
Future senator for Oregonians.
It's like an
Oregonians, right? We've got some very, very impressive Flynn news to go over today. We've got some Q posts as well. We did go over some of these today, but as you know, I didn't split the thread because it was late posts, and I'm like, let me just keep going from yesterday. But this is the new thread. Look at that. That's a pretty cool matrixized little photo there. That's what we do every day. That's my computer setup right there, Shady.
That's a nice control board you got there.
You like my CRT screen?
I do.
All right, we're gonna rig for red, Shady.
For red.
We're gonna rig for green. Rig for green here on the Matrix Groove Hour. But this is the thread for all Q posts for Wednesday, April 29th, 2020. Anon's impressive, most impressive. Knowledge is power and more. Let's go, Shady. And there's the link to intheMatrixxx with 3x's.com, Shady.
Yes, getting ready to be something extra special coming over there.
Yeah, it really is, and I'm really excited for it. But Q did say Anon's impressive, most impressive. This is the why would in-game chat be disabled during false flag events, and there's your proof that SWC, Shady. What's Star Wars Commander? What could that also be, Shady?
Could be Silent War Continues, couldn't it?
Wow.
SWC.
SWC, Silent War Continues, and we've got one ellipse this time, Shady.
Boom.
Yeah, an ellipse is a period, just so you know. Because I had to look it up first time like about a year and a half ago. What's an ellipse? But yeah, so this is it, guys. This is the graphic that Q used. We went over it yesterday. Then we talked about this. Let me go to. Hang on one second. Let me just go over there right now to the posts, right? Because there's a long one coming up, but this is it right here. Then we've got the Palpatine's Revenge, and we've got the Huck Roger, Doku, Severus. Severus.
Do you think they would decode that for us on the mainstream news?
You know, I think I could probably find something. Let's just,
if only the mainstream news could decode Severus.
So who do you guys think Severus is? And I'll show you who Severus Snape is on the mainstream. Let's just listen.
They're an emotional roller coaster. I just don't know what to think about James Comey. First, he seemed like he's the good guy. Then he seemed like he's the bad guy. Then it seemed like he sacrificed himself to save other people. Oh my God! Is James Comey Severus Snape? Are we going to find out he loved us all along? No. I'm being told no. I'm being told that no, he is not Severus Snape.
Right. Right. Interesting, right? So this video will probably be taken down because of this clip. But we'll snip it out and get it out. It's on Twitter. Just make sure you save it. But very interesting, eh, Shady?
I think that's interesting that we would have someone calling Comey Severus after these very interesting.
Who really knew? Like, did you hear the audience laugh track? I mean, everybody in the audience laughed at that.
Everybody knows who Severus Snape is.
I know. I mean, who doesn't know who Severus Snape is? I mean, everybody knows who Severus Snape is, don't they?
A lot of people do not.
Yeah. I mean, didn't you know?
I knew, but I know.
No, you didn't.
I know who Severus Snape is.
You are lying.
I would never do that.
Because I didn't know who Severus Snape is until I did the research on it right here. Jeez. So Severus could be
corny.
Look at, see, Jaundice eyes with me. No. Yeah, Jane didn't know either. See, look at all these people that didn't know. I know that you know that I know that you know that Comey is Severus Snape.
I know, we know that there's known knowns and there's known unknowns. And there's things that we know, and there's things that we know we don't know.
And then Quantum says it's Obama because, yes, I did see that too, Quantum.
Could be Obama. I don't
know.
I
saw, if you Google Obama and Severus, there is a hit. But nobody's saying it like this. So it could be Obama because we don't know. We thought Comey was Huck. What if Huck was Hillary Clinton in the UK?
Oh, goodness.
Huh?
Oh, goodness.
We're all spitballing and we don't know who it is, right? And okay, so Sunshine Universe, kudos to you because she knew who it was. So that's very awesome. I mean, I didn't know. That's pretty amazing. And then you find James Colbert and everybody in the audience in LA knew who it was, Shady.
Yep, they sure do. Everyone in the audience that's on their laugh track, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we have a real laugh track. I mean, if you guys we could hear you all, we'd have probably a better laugh track than them. Yes, Professor Snape's Harry Potter. That's Ronnie, right? You guys are awesome. So thank you. Yeah, and they are all snakes. Absolutely. And Anon says, still don't know who Severus Snape is, Shady. So should we just really quick, Severus?
Severus Snape was a character from Harry Potter.
Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone.
Harry Potter.
Right? I never really got into the Harry. And isn't it funny that they had Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone? Isn't that an addition? That's one of their shows, right?
Yeah, that's a movie.
All right, so this is Severus Snape. January 1960 to May 1999 was an English half-blood wizard serving as potions master, defense against the dark arts professor and headmaster of Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Yeah, it could be Obama. And look at members of the Order of the Phoenix and Death Eater. Yeah, I've never been into Harry Potter either. That's why I didn't know.
You know.
So if you did read Harry Potter, I can see why you would know who Severus Snape is. So everybody in that audience read Harry Potter. That must have been part of the, deal to get in the show, right, Shady? You think?
Yeah, I think that was part of their screening process.
Right. And it says S-Coms screening process. S-Coms close Q. Interesting. Or close. Close or close Q. Mm-hmm. Right? I guess, isn't that right? Is that both?
Yeah.
So we live dig here with you guys. All right. So I had to have a drink of water. But this is just like, you go, just like they go, just like they go silent during ops. And again, it goes back to this. This is this was an issue here with the chat. June 28th, there was a shooting at the Capitol Gazette. Chat disabled. Here's another one. 2018 Toronto shooting. Chat disabled. Okay, so obviously they're using these as comms. Star Wars Commander, to be blunt, game over. That was at March 13th, and this was February 17th. Interesting, right? Here's the other one. The student wounded in a Florida high school shooting, authorities say too. So when the comms go dark or the chat is disabled, boom, there's a false flag. So pretty interesting stuff, guys.
Yeah, and I'm going to drop you a tweet real quick to just take a look at the what was going on yesterday as relevant to this.
And this is our friend Enoch. Let's get that over here, and let me open it.
This happened yesterday after the show. All these gaming platforms were out.
Oh, last night I heard about that. So let's take a look. Which ones? Wow.
All those were down.
There's Fortnite.
And remember, we had the big DM thing with Twitter day before yesterday as well. Like the DMs weren't working. So behind the scenes, private comms of people in these platforms have been being manipulated the last few days. And Q pointed this directly out. And then all of a sudden, just by happenstance, Matrix, it's just so interesting how it happens the next day after Q calls out their private comms.
Look at 666 Plus right here. Or Disney Plus was down too, huh? That's interesting.
Yep.
What do the deep state use for comms? Wow. Very, very interesting. Madden. Oh, wow. EA, Comcast, Battlefront, Fortnite, Destiny. Just looking at the different games here. Interesting. Even Snapchat and Instagram, Shady.
Yeah, they think they're very smart.
Yeah. PlayStation was down too. Wow, guys. That's big. I'm going to have to retweet that. I did not see that.
Just a coincidence.
Yeah, I'm sure. Just a coincidence. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think isn't the one Fortnite, isn't that Blizzard, or was that a different one? I can't remember.
I thought it was Blizzard. Activision?
Oh, Activision. I can't. And
Activision, Blizzard, same thing. I think it's like a section of it. Activision or Blizzard of Activision.
Let me see. So Fortnite now has Blizzards. No, that's not it. Does Blizzard own Epic Games? Fortnite got Blizzards and no one knows why. I don't know. Maybe you guys know out there, because I'm not a big gamer. We got, I think, Pseudonym and it knows. Interesting.
Oh, LK says no, it's not.
No, it's not. Okay, thank you, LK. It's Epic. Gotcha.
I don't believe him.
I don't believe him. That's LK, Dark to Light. All right, then we move over really quick to the tweet right here, which is amazing. My campaign for president was conclusively spied on. Nothing like this has ever happened in American politics. A really bad situation. Treason means long jail sentences, and this was treason. Be ready, guys. Be ready.
Somebody was talking on Twitter the other day about how they were doing stories in the mainstream news about how the COVID is giving everybody nightmares and asking, what's everybody dreaming about? I said, I dream about treason.
I dream about people being arrested for treason. Kenny says World of Warcraft. Right, that's the one I was trying to think of. World of Warcraft is a Blizzard game. So here we go, Shady. This is the WSATX status that Q pointed us to. And this was the one about RR isn't taking boop. Let's just get to it. And he knows our friends have stuff on him. I'm hearing Mueller, maybe by the end of next week. Hearing that too. White House will be blindsided. Let's put MF back in the news. Can S draw up a memo on Turkey with Erotigen thugs beating protesters in the streets? It fits the news cycle, and I'm sure we'll have a few more memos down the road. Good practice. And there's the article.
The very next day.
Yeah, the very next day. And Mueller, I think, wasn't that about the time he was? May 17th, that week. Mueller, appointed special.
That was the exact time they set that in motion. And now we know from the other releases that they knew that this whole investigation was BS well before the Donald Trump took the office in January 20th. They knew this was all bogus.
Very interesting, right? Wow.
Yeah. You know,
All
I
right.
mean, they attacked our country, Matrix. They attacked our country for 3 years. And even half an hour ago or so, when the president was out there, here comes Acosta touting the party line and not acknowledging anything to do with all this new stuff that's coming out about the general. So it's just, they are not going to pivot.
Yeah. They're not
They're
going to
going to
pivot.
run with it.
So this is Q Post 4008. And before we get to that, I want to actually play this little bit. Here we go.
And we have an army, okay, as a soldier and as a general, as a retired general. We have an army of digital soldiers. What we are now, I call them, because this was an insurgency, folks. This was run like an insurgency. This was irregular warfare at its finest.
Okay. It was irregular warfare at its finest. And by the way, Shady, isn't this pretty much a future proves past?
It sure is.
Because we are Flynn's digital soldiers. We are the Q Army now. And very interesting to me.
You mean a future proofs past, considering the fact that General Flynn said that well before Q started to drop. As a matter of fact, I think it was a month or so before Q actually started to drop. So it is a future proofs past, because here we are.
Here we are. You are part of General Flynn's Q Army. I mean, General Flynn's, been very important to this movement.
He is the general of this movement. He is the leader of this movement, and he is the reason that we all fight for justice. We know that if they can do this to a 3-star general and the president of the United States, they can do it to any one of us if we get in their way.
I like Bill Gus's answer. Because General Flynn is awesome.
Yes, he is.
Yes. Donna Evans says, is Flynn Q? Donna, we don't know. One thing we do know is the people that know the complete picture are 10 people, about 10 people, 3 non-military. That's all we really know, because he's our general. That's right. Here we go. So this is Proud to be a Frog. You guys are awesome. And I want to answer somebody's question here. They said, I want you guys, Larry, I'm not going to repeat the question, but Larry, if you can hear me, I want you to use your discernment. Okay? It's amazing, right? All the hatred, all the division, right, Larry? But God bless you, sir. Great question. I think you know the answer. Wow, guys, this is amazing. So this is our general film. Let's listen to the whole thing again, because we just have to.
And we have an army, okay, as a soldier and as a general, as a retired general. We have an army of digital soldiers. What we are now, I call them, because this was an insurgency, folks. This was run like an insurgency. This was irregular warfare at its finest in politics. And that story will continue to be told here. But we have what we call citizen journalists. Okay? Because the journalists that we have in our media did a disservice to themselves, actually more than they did to this country. They did a disservice to themselves because they displayed an arrogance that is unprecedented. And so the American people decided to take over the idea of information. They took over the idea of information, and they did it through social media.
There you go. There we go.
Future proofs past.
That's right, and that's what we're doing right now, folks. And we've got a lot of naysayers out there, a lot of people that are trying to attack the digital soldiers, right? We've got a question. So why did Trump fire him? Well, we can go through the timeline. We will. But why did they bring a fake case against him, Obama team, right? That should be the real question.
Trump fired him because he admitted guilt, and it's all you got to understand. Everything in this digital war is optics. 110%. Everything has to be viewed as optics. And because they were attacking him the way they did, pull back and look at the 40,000 foot view. Do you think that this man, General Flynn, didn't have any idea of what his lawyers were doing at Covington,
Yes.
you got to think very logically here. More than likely, he knew they were setting him up. He knew they were giving him bad advice, and he was entrapping them while they were trying to entrap him. That's why his testimony was relevant to other cases. Remember, in the Q map, that one of the Q posts talked about his information is being used for other investigations, not just the Mueller debacle.
That's right. It is optics. It's part of the plan. And what's going to happen now is that you're going to see the D-class of General Flynn's documents, right? And we're going to cover that today. And I think it'll answer a lot of questions. And I just saw a vaccine question. We're not talking about that right now today, but it is very important. It's a good question. And I want to let you know that we're allowing these people to show their cards, right? And ultimately, Trump will play his Trump card.
On each individual subject, right?
Exactly right.
Just, like the way he played the Trump card with Jeff Sessions. Do you guys understand the way that he spoke about Jeff Sessions in public is very contrary to the way Q let us know what Jeff Sessions' job was. This is optics. This is so that we can subdue the mainstream media and make them choke on their own lies.
That's right. And, yeah, exactly. Zoltan says, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. And that's what our president is doing, because and I know, it was just reported yesterday by Laura Ingraham that Fauci gave to the WHO. How did he get that much money to donate? I think it was 47 million or something crazy like that. Don't quote me. But they know that this vaccine or this new drug that they're all trying to hide, HCQ, right? They're trying to hide that. They don't even talk about that because that is the cure. But here they are. Here's a $1,000 per dose pill that they want to try to sell you. And, oh, yes, it's going really well. But you know what's going to happen? It's going to fail. And they're going to push and I'm just going to predict this right now. It's going to fail, and they're going to try to push the vaccine. I want you to know that there's the Q post that talks about President Personal, and it goes to Jeremiah 29:11. He knows what vaccines do to people. I really want you to understand that. I really do. I have faith in my president. So let's see this play out. And please, get behind and question everything. That's what we do. But don't let it get to you in the fear mode.
Well, it's about getting your voice back, and I think that's what so many people have a hard time understanding, is that we haven't had a voice really for so long, or your voice is censored or ignored or whatever, or the government doesn't pay attention to you, and that is changing right now. We had this big release from the Justice Department yesterday. We're going to get into here in a little bit, but just realize that your government is now operating in a way of protecting the Constitution, not protecting the ones who subvert the Constitution, which is quite the 180-degree adjustment.
That's right. And you have a voice now, Rosebuds. We all do. And yes, Denise, God wins. They forgot about that. Walk with faith, not fear, Sharon. Very good. Because they harvest that energy of our fear.
Correct.
And anger.
They're not too interested in your energy of love and light. They don't like that. They like whenever you're divisive and mean.
I always say this too, Shady. There's two ways to, for lack of a better term, control people, right? Fear and love. You control people with fear. If you don't do this, I'm going to beat your butt, or I'm going to tell you that you are on Epstein's plane, right? Or love, man. Like I do with my daughter. Hey, could you do this for me? And she does it because she loves me, not because I'm going to beat her up or spank her. You see, it's about
very big difference.
I think I'd rather be controlled by love, for lack of a better term, for control. You see what I'm saying? I don't mean control,
but guided.
Guided, exactly right. And that's what we need to keep reminding ourselves. And it's okay to have the feelings that you're having about the fear of them possibly passing a vaccine. But I'm actually confident that our president knows a lot more than we think he knows. But we can tell you that he does know that 911, he was out there the next day saying this building couldn't have done that. It was built for this stuff. How did it do this? He knows about that. You know, we know that he has a beautiful son that may have had some issues as well. We know that he has had 2 beautiful wives. What if they were trafficked? What if he knows about everything? What if he knows about everything that we do? And so far, it kind of points to that, Shady, of what
Sure
we're
does.
researching and his actions.
Not his words in public, his actions. Words in public have to be are scrutinized by the ones who hate us.
Yeah,
So he has to be extremely careful, and he has to talk in code.
that's right. That's right. I think so. And they used to love him, Shady.
They sure did until the summer of 2015. They really loved Donald Trump, and then bam, snap of a finger, it all changed.
I mean, he went to Wharton School of Business. He was head of his class in West Point.
Number one show on TV for 12, 13 years or something. I mean, he was on there for a while. The Apprentice.
Hey, Shady, you fired.
You're fired.
You're fired. I like how he did. He just goes, you know, and after understanding all that, and you know, you've been doing this, that, and the other thing, you're fired. I love that. That was a great show. And you know, and that goes to like, you know, he not West Point. How come I know that he was at West Point? No, he wasn't. Was he? They thought they owned Donald Trump. That's right, Joe Ray. And, you know, they tried to stifle him. I mean, look at the attacks on him, all the bankruptcies that he's had to do, you know. But anyways, let's get back into the Q post. I think that was a really nice little conversation. And I just want you guys to know one thing. Keep praying, you know, he went to military school. You know, so I want you guys to keep praying as well and keep the positive vibes up. But it is normal as us being humans to get frustrated, to get mad, to get angry, to get scared.
And that is, to be honest, we want you to be upset about what you're seeing, but we also want you to be loud about it by being a good steward of this information to those that you know, love, and care for, who might be asking you questions soon.
Right.
That's where you can direct your irritation to another human being to explain to them why you think that maybe they should be upset at this, not with anger or aggression towards them, but showing how passionate you are inside about what it is that you care about in an objective way is a red pill and a half.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure I'm trying to find out what the military school, because I want to make sure I'm correct. In the summer before I went to NYMA. That's the school, I believe, Shady. NYMA. In addition to NYMA boys. So this is a Daily Beast hit piece on him, but he was at the front of his class, guys. Let's just show you a picture of Donald J. Trump at military school. And I might have misspoken out of line, but there you go. That's your president right there. Yeah, NYMA.
NYMA, yeah.
Yep. So that's New York Military Academy. Yes, I believe. And this is his military records, or academic records, I should say. Here's some guy trying to talk right now. Here he goes. They hid this, too. His military rank achieved was Private Company F, Sergeant, Supply Sergeant, Captain, Senior Staff. He played baseball, football, soccer, basketball, bowling. I mean, geez, look at this guy. Okay? Guy was very, very popular, very, very good at what he did. Amazing, right, Shady? All right, so back to Q Post. Where were we? But thank you. I just had to look it up because I didn't want to speak out of time or out of turn. So Shady, why don't we go ahead and go through this?
All right.
This is Q Post. I'll set it up for you. This is Q Post 4008. It was April 29th at 3:22 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it says, read slowly and carefully. Knowledge is power. And it links us over to a document that this is taken out from, Shady. Why don't you go ahead and take it?
All right. Sounds good. Irregular warfare is far more varied than conventional conflict, hence the importance of an intellectual framework that is coherent enough to provide guidance and flexible enough to adapt to circumstances. I want you guys to really pay attention as we read this. This is very important.
Yeah, and if you want to stop and kind of fill in some blanks too, because this is not a conventional war that we're fighting. This is an information war.
Right. This has to do with information and the ability for people to make decisions based on that information.
And
Remember
infiltration rather than, what is it, Shady?
Invasion.
Yeah,
Infiltration
invasion.
rather than invasion.
That's right. So, and this is the COINTELPRO. This is counterinsurgency. Go ahead and Shady, take it.
American counterinsurgency practice rests on a number of assumptions that the decisive effort is rarely military. Although security is the essential prerequisite for success, that our efforts must be directed to the creation of local and national governmental structures that will serve their populations, and over time replace the efforts of foreign partners. That superior knowledge, and in particular understanding of the human terrain, is essential, and that we must have the patience to persevere in what will necessarily prove long struggles.
All right, let's stop right there. Because
it takes a while to convince them.
Yes, and also I want you guys to think mirror as to what we are doing as well, okay? But
as the Q operation.
Yes, and what I want you to understand this is we have to have the patience to persevere, okay? And I hear people all the time saying,
every day,
when is this going to be done? When are we going to see arrests? When
I want fraud marches.
I do too. I do too.
Oh, we do too.
But from our research, Shady, this goes back tens, hundreds, thousands of years. And Hillary Clinton, yes, as she is very important. However, she's just at the bottom level of what we need to clean up, guys.
Yep.
And, we can't even get justice here until we get our courts appointed, right? Which is amazing. The courts, and then to have clean justice, because the justice system is so corrupt. We get Hillary Clinton up there, she goes free, just like she has over and over and over again. We've got to make sure that we got the case solid, locked tight, and right. We only have one chance, guys. If we screw up because we're too in a hurry to get our taco from the drive-thru at Taco Bell, then we could screw up, and this whole thing could be gone. We need to make sure that we get Donald Trump reelected for the next 4 years. We need to make sure, and we've confirmed that from the Q&A from Q, that they've got the future also locked up, right?
A plan for after the president's term is over.
Correct. So this could take decades, guys. We could be sitting here cleaning this crap up for decades. Are you ready?
Are you in it with us?
Taco Hell. But yeah, so this is a genius plan, Shady. You are watching a movie, a very well scripted movie. Yes, you have to dot every I and cross every T, because these people are fighting back, guys.
With every resource that is, would be outside of, think about all the resources they've accumulated over the last 100 years and hidden. Yeah. They're bringing all that stuff out. They're selling all this stuff off. They're making crazy mistakes.
That's right.
Extremely crazy mistakes.
And they're going to censor us, you, me, Shady, Blessed to Teach, Praying Medic, Jordan Sather, you name it. List goes on and on. LK. List goes on and on. They're going to censor us. But there is going to be one day, guys, I promise you, that we will become the news. So we have to be patient and persevere. So that's why I wanted to kind of just stop on that, because I think it's important for us to realize that Rome wasn't built in a day, and undoing it is going to take more than a day as well, guys. Shady, continue. If you
Isn't it so funny how that all these different phrases? Rome wasn't built in a day. All roads lead to Rome. Come on,
Pharisees.
Pharisees, right? So,
by the way, Deb Bisher, educating liberals is educating? No,
they got him down again yesterday.
They got the 2 S's down.
Yep, they got the new account down. He got back to 67,000, and they blotted his account again yesterday.
Oh, I also want to send, before we go on, because this is amazing, I want to send a sincere thank you from Mike Smith. He called me up, Shady, yesterday. said, did you go and ask people to donate? I go, well, maybe we did. And you guys did us proud, and he is so thankful to you.
Wow.
Because he would never ask. And I go, yeah, I know, we said that.
We told him that.
we told him that. And he basically was like, I get chills right now. He was so thankful because, he's put his life and career on the line. We got, what's his name? James Alefantis attacking Liz Crokin on Instagram, guys.
In public, posting pizza slices to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you guys for that. The Matrix Groove Hour wins, and you guys are very amazing. Yeah. Could you imagine, Jeff, if we got $1 for every view? But they don't want $1 for every view. They are going to turn off the donation button after they've recouped the cost, because the truth should be free, and this is what God told him to do.
And isn't that a beautiful thing too, to say we've put this project together,
Yep.
and we've self-funded this project, and then if Patriots replenish that self-funding and then the donations are no longer taken, then it ends up very free and neutral, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Big win.
It is a big win. And somebody said here that Mike is suing Tiffany Fitzhenry. I want, if you guys have a Pacer account, you'll see that both parties have amicably and mutually agreed, and the case is over. So, just so you know.
Just so you know.
Yeah, what is up? Go read the case. Go read the case, Ava. I think, what is it? Awake AF on Twitter has that case there for you. You can read it. And you should really just read it, really.
And maybe understand it's defensive, not offensive.
Right. And you will understand it's defensive once you read the case. Okay, so let's let's pray for everybody right there and just leave it at that. But it is online that it's all done, and it's a beautiful thing. So here we go. This is insurgency. Shady. Let's get back into this. I'm sorry,
right,
guys, but I just wanted to thank you.
I think that was a good little tangent there.
Yeah, thank you.
And
I did a shady.
Boom.
I did one. I'm learning.
He's learning good and every day.
Every day.
So then Q says insurgency, however, this is the document we're reading from the counterinsurgency. Insurgency, however, can and will flourish in the modern environment. The strains created by globalization, by the collapse of weak state structures, by demographic, environmental, and economic pressures, by the ease of cooperation among insurgent groups and criminals, and by the appearance of destructive radical ideologies, all augur a period in which free and moderate governance is at risk. All your tools. Insurgency is the organized use of subversion and violence to seize, nullify, or challenge political control of a region. I'm going to read that again. Insurgency is the organized use of subversion and violence to seize, nullify, or challenge political control of a region. Now we're just take that one sentence real quick and think: insurgency, organize, subversion, violence, seize, nullify, challenge political control of a region. That is very, very key to the way that this whole system that distracts and divides us operates. It is also very key to the way you are acting right now in the social media realms towards the fake media. So what we are doing is we've created an insurgency against the fake news. We are organized. We are not violent, but we are seizing territory. Okay.
Yeah. And let me play this too when you're ready, because this is amazing.
Go ahead.
Here we go.
For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means.
Covert.
for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised.
Pretty good, right?
And notice that is April 27th, which is a Delta right now.
That's right. And people are asking for the link there. I'll get it for you.
Just
There
the
you
other
go.
day. Yep.
Yep. And we are running a counterinsurgency against the traitors who came after us, we the people, and ultimately our president today. So let's go ahead and continue. This is really good.
As such, and it's primarily a political struggle in which both sides use armed force to create space for their political, economic, and influence activities to be effective. Insurgency is not always conducted by a single group with a centralized military-style command structure, but may involve a complex matrix of different actors with various aims loosely connected in dynamic and non-hierarchical networks. To be successful, insurgencies require charismatic leadership, supporters, recruits, supplies, safe havens, and funding, often from illicit activities. They only need the active support of a few enabling individuals, but the passive acquiescence of a large proportion of the contested population will give a higher probability of success. This is best achieved when the political cause of the insurgency has strong appeal, manipulating religious, tribal, or local identity to exploit common social grievances or needs. Insurgents seek to gain control of populations through a combination of persuasion, subversion, and coercion, while using guerrilla tactics to offset the strengths of government security forces. Their intent is usually to protract the struggle, exhaust the government, and win sufficient popular support to force capitulation or political accommodation. Consequently, insurgencies evolve through a series of stages through the progression and outcome, or though the progression and outcome will be different in almost every case. Q. Now, what you're seeing right there in the brackets that we just read, that last little part, is what you have been witnessing the deep state world globalist controllers do to countries to capture them. They don't capture them in the way that you would think, oh, you go in and start flying a different flag. No, they fly the flag of that country still, and they make the people hypnotized and change the landscape. They change the environment. They change the tribal and the dogmatic functions and beliefs. They change the demographics by bringing in people who have other agendas or other thoughts and beliefs that don't necessarily line up or agree. They've been doing it here for a long time, and they're also doing it in Europe. This is all about making what is balanced unbalanced so that you can access it, therefore you can control it, not destroy it, control it so that you utilize the systems that are already there. In other words, everything's in place. You just got to get the right people in that are corruptible. And I think that a lot of you are really starting to understand that your current system of government here in America has some of those problems.
Absolutely. And, you know, this is General Flynn. He's always out front. That is the key and the lightning, and they're always out front. Q says we're always 10 steps ahead, something to that effect, right? This is our General Flynn's, what he's decorated with. And this is the crest, what it means and whatnot. And if you want to check that out, that's good. But I want to really just, Shady, I think what we need to do is go back and look at this Q post with 4009, knowledge is power, twice, okay? And here's your take-home message from both of these posts. Step 1, educate yourself, study the enclosed document, both of them, and we're going to go over the HCQ document as well. And then research the references. For example, the first study can be accessed on PubMed, a searchable archive of peer-reviewed biomedical studies. I'm going to go ahead and just drop the link for you guys as well, and grab the link. Here we are. Let me just go to that link. So we've got to research for ourselves. Knowledge is power. You've got to do it yourself. The truth is learned. It's never told. Here's that site, the general link for PubMed, and I'm going to go ahead and just drop it in live chat. And if you're watching from your TV and can't see live chat and want to go to this site, open it up. It's right there. But by using PubMed, you can find published studies, right? So that is referenced in Q's document that we're going to go over in a second. And on this page, you'll find a great, deal of useful information, such as authors and the information and contacts, and sometimes full paper is available, either free or for purchase. But the first sentence of the full paper is available for free. And here's a link to that document that is referenced in the Q post, guys. And again, I'm going to go ahead and drop that into the live chat in case you guys want to research more on this. Because, we see Fauci over there talking about the new med and not this one. And Q, basically right after Fauci was in the White House, hours later, Q posts this. So this is possibly what is happening, right? So the Q's list of studies and all is just the tip of the iceberg. This is an active field investigation. Therefore, there are many more papers you can find on all this. Step 2, if you conclude that there are effective and available treatments for the COVID-based viral infections, make copies of your own research, summarize your results, and share this with friends. Step 3, return to your pre-COVID lifestyle. Discard your homemade masks, your face mask, the glass and lotion, all that stuff is not needed. It was never needed, maybe, perhaps, correct? Join with your friends and become politically active, peacefully, of course. Share the research that you have, that we've got. It's all over Twitter. It's on, Shady's, your timeline out there, guys, mine. We've got so much research. Share the truth. Maybe even, confront local media, local and public officials, insist that they lift unconstitutional bans on healthy people. This is kind of what Q is kind of telling us right now. And at the federal level, write and call your elected officials. Call the Senate. Call the Congress. Present your research. Encourage your friends to do the same. Demand to know who designed and controlled the models that predicted a pandemic and that was used for our government policy and guidelines, and why not? It's obvious, the problems associated with the predictive models, and it could be an honest mistake or intentional, right? If it was an honest mistake, will they be fired? If it was intentional, will they be prosecuted? So, in the unlikely event that you do become ill, insist that your physician prescribe HCQ, possibly, right? Because you have the power. They have to do what you have to have consent. And if you don't consent to what they do, you can say, I want this. And remember, clinicians are hired help. They do work for you. So help educate them by providing your research as well. In most cases, family clinicians are happy to prescribe cheap and effective drugs to treat disease for you because they know it's expensive. They hate when they have to give you a drug that costs you, $1,000 every time you fill it, Shady, for a month. So just knowledge is power, Shady.
Yes, it is. And understand that what we just showed you there about counterinsurgency, and then Q says knowledge is power, and then he gives us the studies, the clinical trials and studies on hydroxychloroquine. Knowledge is power. Does that mean that Q wants you to use your knowledge as power and create an insurgency against the narrative so that, I would suggest making a call to C-SPAN in the morning. Right. They have the live show there every day. Call into C-SPAN and make a comment. I suggest calling your personal representatives in your districts. I suggest calling your senators. I suggest calling your governors. This is how we be loud. We are not loud by stringing people up in the streets. That's not how we're loud. We're loud by making our voices heard to the point where they can't ignore us. Enough of us speaking up to where they can't ignore us. And that is the power of Q, ladies and gentlemen. That is the power of what we're doing here. And that's how you're seeing so much information being moved around, and the mainstream media can't stop it because we're creating an insurgency. We are inserting the truth on the narrative, and the propaganda withers on the vine once the truth is the foundation for people's thought structures. And it really isn't very difficult. So recognize that that is where your power is. Also recognize that you are not a subject, guys. I mean, we've all been trained in this mental gobbledygook of like, the state tells me something and I got to listen. I'm going to explain something to you right now. There's this thing, it's called the Constitution. And that Constitution makes you a sovereign individual, which means you are the king of your own life. No one is over you. No one can tell you what to do. Now, if you decide to use that power to harm someone or to damage something or mess up in public, then the court system is there to remedy the injured party. That's supposed to be the whole system. So recognize that you are not a subject, and no one in any government can tell you what to or what not to do, period.
That's right. Amen.
And we've lost our power. We've lost our power because we've been taught we're sheep. We've been taught to sit down and shut up. We've been taught to go over there and sit in a corner. We've been taught that what you say doesn't matter. We've been taught that, oh, there's nothing you can do because the military has all the guns, and if they come to take your guns, then they're just going to take your guns. Yeah, okay, let's see it. All of these things are narratives, and we're here to correct the record.
That's right. Absolutely. Well said. Well said, my friend. That's exactly, because I was out yesterday going, I'm not afraid anymore. Like, I don't think that, we had maybe 400 cases, give or take, maybe 4 or 5 deaths in my county. I mean, that's what they had on the flu during the Obama years here.
And look at what they were doing right after this whole thing started. They were, what'd you say? I think you were saying there was 160 flights coming from New York to Florida every day for a while or something?
Yeah.
So like, look what they were trying to do. And then the news media was like, oh, Florida's going to be the next New York.
Yeah.
DeSantis was on there yesterday saying, nope, Florida didn't become the next New York because, if you come to Florida, you're going to be in quarantine for 2 weeks and on Hannity.
Thank God for DeSantis on that one, right? I mean,
right.
This is what we're up against, guys. And, we've got, some more proof on these guys, and we're going to go continue through these threads. But I actually want you guys to read this stuff on your own. We might do a little report on it later and whatnot, but I really want you guys to, knowledge is power, Shady. And the truth is learned, never told. And
these, what's being presented here are clinical studies, multiple clinical studies about the effectiveness on this. We also have, what government was it? It was some country. Where was it? Was it Turkey? No, it was Turkey or somewhere.
Yeah, Turkey.
With talking about how the HCQ had changed the whole landscape there, and everybody was getting better within a day or so after taking it, guys. I mean, let me tell you, this Prevacimir stuff that they're talking about, $1,000 a pill, that is not going to be effective in 1 or 2 doses or 1 or 2 days.
No. And did you see Fauci standing there like he was all like,
Oh, yeah, he's still doing it, too. They have no shame, my brother. They think they're in control. They really have the ego of, they have the ego of snakes.
That's right. And, here's the article that you're referring to, Shady. Let me grab it over here for you because, we got to provide the sauce. So it works, I said. Turkey claims success treating COVID-19 with broad use. And this is the news, YouTube. You can't take me down. This is CBS.
This is CBS. And notice, let's notice real quick and give a little bit of a shout out to CBS because CBS is covering this, number one, which no other news source is covering at all. And also they covered the Michael Flynn stuff from yesterday when all the rest ignored it. So CBS is doing something different.
Interesting, right? But I think their numbers, obviously, and then we got New York. My God, people. But real quick, before we move on, let's continue with this U.S. government counterinsurgency guide. It was January 2009 when it was here. And here's the following departments and agencies contributed to it. You can see, Department of State.
Corrupt.
Right? Corrupt. Department of Defense.
Corrupt.
At the time, right? Agency for International Development.
Corrupt.
Department of Justice.
Corrupt.
Department of Treasury.
Better now.
Homeland Security. Corrupt. I mean, all of them, guys. All of them. Look at the DIR.
They all cooperate and agree.
Right. And so let's look at who signed the document. You got Robert Gates and Condoleezza Rice. Everybody used to think she's good.
I didn't.
So I really want you guys to take time and just peruse it. I mean, it is about 68 pages long. But this talks about what COINTELPRO is, how they use their power to take over our thoughts and our minds, guys. And get and implied consent to agree to their control over us. Because I don't consent.
Right. And, we had those couple documentaries out not that long ago talking about the economic warfare. I can't remember the guy's name, but he had a few videos where he was talking about. But this is what he was talking about. This is how you take over a country. You use the systems and the people that are in place, but you access the corruptible and you toss out the ones who aren't corrupt, and then the whole system still sort of exists, and you start working within the framework of that system, and you don't really have to build anything.
That's right.
You just take it over.
Shady, look at this. It's General Flynn's flag. Well, it's actually not his flag. It's close to where he lives, but that is not his flag. I've got it confirmed.
So you're telling me that General Flynn yesterday, after being under vicious assault by the United States government for almost 4 years and has been off Twitter for 3 years, almost 3 years, and not able to talk and under a gag order, comes back to social media, and one of the very first thing he posts is a beautiful waving American flag?
5-5, my friend.
You think that this country doesn't mean something, then you are sadly mistaken. And if you're someone who lives outside of the United States of America, I would just like to show you that this right here represents who we are. Even though we are treaded upon, even though we are attacked, even though we are assaulted, even though that we face countless odds against us, we still believe in our fellow countrymen to do the right thing, ladies and gentlemen. That is the core of America. And I can see this blooming all around this world, because let me tell you something, we plan on leading by example from now on, and your corrupt politicians in your countries aren't going to be able to stand the weight of the pressure that we put against them here right real soon.
That's right. Absolutely. And it's such
4 million plus views on this video, Matrix.
Yeah. Donald Trump also retweeted it, I think, twice now. Basically, I went to 7:50 p.m., 7:50 on February 12th, which is my birthday, which is pretty cool. That 7:50, it says, our attack on Big Pharma came with a warning letter today. Message received, response forthcoming. Q. So that's a timestamp to General Flynn's tweet. General Flynn's tweet. Say that 10 times fast. But there it is. Pretty interesting, right? And we were just talking about Big Pharma, were we not?
And Q just posted about Big Pharma, did he not?
He did. Knowledge is power. Very interesting, folks. And that's our general. God bless you, General Flynn. Amazing. So let's go back into this, Shady. I got a couple more things here that we should cover for sure, and then we can get into other things. But this is a CIA-made Magic the Gathering style card games for training agents. And you guys all played it. And that's on The Verge. This is the General Flynn, and the flag was tweeted about an hour after this hit Twitter, Shady. And this is the unsealed FBI notes that revealed the intent of the FBI's 1/24/17 interview of Flynn. What is our goal? Truth, admission, or to get him to lie so we can prosecute Flynn or get him fired? FBI notes confirm it. It was all pretext. They did this on purpose, guys. This is pre-planned. Interesting, right?
They set him up.
They set him up. Let's go to the next one here. Let me just open this thread too. Because I did a thread reader app just to have it all in our thread. But this is get Flynn to admit breaking the Logan Act or catch him in a lie. Their end goal was a referral to the DOJ, not to investigate Flynn's contacts with the Russians. Now, why did President Trump fire him? Why did the DOJ and the corrupt Obama, all the way up to 44 guys, do this to General Flynn? Why?
Because he wouldn't play ball, Matrix.
And he knows where the bodies are buried, friends. And if
Also, let's just take a moment here whenever we look at this to say, they're saying that we're going to try to get him to admit to violation of the Logan Act. Well, this is something that hasn't been public until the last couple of days, yesterday or whatever, late yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Think about how many times. Now think about yourself as, okay, I'm the deep state. I'm Comey. I'm Brennan. I'm Hillary. I'm John Kerry. How many times have I heard the president say Logan Act?
About John Kerry, yeah.
How much do you think the deep state cringes whenever he says the Logan Act? Because he is referencing the Logan Act. He's referencing their work. He's referencing what they were doing to General Flynn and saying, I'm going to use this against them because they tried to use it against a 3-star general.
That's right. And we do know that John Kerry did, in fact, violate the Logan Act. In fact, Hillary Clinton was fined $300,000 for violating the Logan Act for attending a Bilderberg meeting. They've already been guilty of it.
Cornered animals.
Yeah. All right, so let's go back to Techno Frog here. This is interesting too, Shady. This is an email from Peter Strzok to McCabe. Now, remember we had the Q map down here. Let's go back to that graphic about the chain of command of these bags. So now you've got Lisa Page here, McCabe, and Peter Strzok is all the way down here. It should have gone through Priestap, Steinbach to McCabe. Let's remember that. So this is directly to McCabe. And it's potential cues for DD's call. I'm sure he thought through these, but for the DD, Defense Department's consideration about how to answer in advance of his call with Flynn, am I in trouble? Am I the subject of the investigation? Is this a criminal investigation? Is it an espionage investigation? Do I need an attorney? Do I need to tell Priebus, the president? Will you tell Priebus, the president? Will you tell the White House what I tell you? What happens to the information? Will you tell what I tell you? You need to interview other people? Will our interview be released publicly? Will substance to our interview be released? How long will this take? Depends on his cooperation. I plan 45 minutes. We can go over this on the phone. And what's highlighted here is I can explain all of you right now. I did this. This do you shut him down? This I do you shut him down? Hear him out. Conduct the interview. If he starts talking, do you want another agent witness standing by in case he starts doing this? Thanks, Pete. And then here we go. This is Lisa Carter, right? Is this Lisa Page? Yeah, Lisa Page is in there from her. I haven't read the policy lately, but if I recall correctly, you can say it at any time. I'm 90% sure about that, but I can check in the AM. And then I guess from Lisa Page says, I have a question for you. It probably says, Petey boy. I have a question for you. Could the admonition of regarding 1001 be given at the beginning of the interview, or does it have to come following the statement which agents believe to be false? Does the policy speak to that? I feel bad that I don't know this, but I don't remember ever having to do this. Plus, I've only charged it once in the context of lying to a federal probation officer. It seems to be, if the former, then it would be an easy way to just casually slip it in. Of course you know, sir, federal law makes it a crime too. Set up, guys.
Talking about advising him of his understanding that he is under oath, essentially.
That's right.
Which they didn't do.
That's right. And if you go ahead and remember,
it's just a friendly meeting, Matrix. We're just having a friendly meeting. You don't need your lawyer. That's what they told him. You don't. They literally said they spoke the words, "You do not need your lawyer," and that right there on its face is fraud.
That's right. And what we need to do is actually look at Flynn's what he tweeted the other night. This is Michael T. Flynn's declaration of Michael T. Flynn. And basically, Shady, I think we should go over it because it's very important. Remember Joe, when he was on the show, he wanted us to read this, and I think we do need to read this, Shady.
Are you ready?
Let me just see if I can find a better copy. I think this is it. Yeah, Shady, let's do it. Go ahead and why don't you start it off? This is a document. This was filed 1/29/20, and it's 12 pages. But it basically shows you Flynn's perspective on what the deep state is telling you. Even Fox News, guys. I want you to remember, this is where we're going to find our answers. We read you Devin Nunes's memo yesterday that Adam Schiff does not want the public to read. Was it yesterday? Yeah.
Yep.
And so let's read General Flynn's side of it. Because whenever you're researching something, whatever it may be, you need to look at the mainstream media story. And this is what I do anyways. I look at the mainstream media story and the conspiracy theory, and I try to find the truth somewhere in between. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right, here you go, Shady.
This is a declaration of Michael T. Flynn in his defense here of himself.
Here we go.
And he says, I, Michael T. Flynn, declare that 1, I'm a citizen of the United States and more than 18 years old. 2, I served over 33 years in the United States Army. 5 of those I spent deployed in active combat in Afghanistan and Iraq, elsewhere around the world in support of the United States foreign policy objectives. I was a lifelong Democrat, and President Barack Obama twice appointed me to positions that required Senate confirmations. In my final military assignment, I served as the head of the Defense Intelligence Agency until September of 2014. On December 1 of 2017, reiterated on December 18th of 18, I pled guilty to lying to agents of the FBI. I am innocent of this crime, and I request to withdraw my plea. In December of 2016, while I was working on the President Trump transition team, I received a letter from FARA unit of the Department of Justice. In that letter, I learned that FARA unit sought information about work that my former business, the Flynn Intel Group, did for a company called Innovo BV that related to Turkey. I responded by seeking out I responded by seeking out respected counsel who were known and respected FARA lawyers, or FARA. I chose Rob Kellner and his colleagues at Covington and Burling. I met with Covington lawyers on several occasions about FIG's FARA issues. I gave them the information they requested and answered their questions truthfully. Most important instruction
Go ahead.
I gave them was to be precise.
And what's FARA, Shady? Do you remember what that is?
Yep, that's the
Foreign Agents Registration Act.
Right. So that basically is what the Podestas weren't doing right, and he did do right, and they attacked him for not doing it right and not them.
That's right.
They didn't. On January 20, 2017, I entered office. Make that a little bigger. I entered office as the president's national security advisor. Woo!
I'm trying to figure out how to get a better copy, but we just got to do with what we got. It keeps moving. See that?
There we go.
Okay.
And advisor, 4 days later, FBI Deputy Director McCabe called me and asked if I would meet with a couple of FBI agents at the White House. I agreed. While I was willing to oblige Deputy McCabe by meeting with a couple of agents on the 4th day of the new administration, I was extremely busy and only had limited amount of time to give them. I tried to answer their questions as best I could during that brief meeting before again moving on to a schedule packed with new presidential and national security requirements. I was an intelligence officer for 33 years since 1981, and throughout my military and government career, I have held the highest level security clearance our government provides. When FBI agents came to the White House on January 24, 2017, I did not lie to them. I believed I was honest with them to the best of my recollection at the time. 10. I still don't remember if I discussed sanctions on a phone call with Ambassador Kislyak, nor do I remember if we discussed the details of a UN vote on Israel. In regards to the sanction issues, I told the agents that tit for tat is a phrase I use, which suggests that the topic of sanctions could have been raised. The phone calls with Kislyak are still events of which I do not have a clear memory, and it related to a general category of information, phone calls about foreign policy, that are both sensitive and classified. My baseline reaction to questions posed by people outside of my superior's immediate command or office of responsibility is to protect sensitive or classified information, except upon need to know and the proper level of security clearance. That type of filter is ingrained in me and virtually automatic after a lifetime of honoring my duty to protect the most important national and military secrets. 12. I am and was fully aware that federal officials routinely monitor, record, and transcribe such conversations with foreign officials. 13. Of course, I was embarrassed and angered by the furor that erupted in the press over the felonious leaks to highly sensitive and classified information that was my phone call with Ambassador Kislyak. It was distracting to my work and to be center of such a commotion, and it was upsetting to be the cause of disruption to the busy and important work in support of our new president of the United States. 14. I resigned as National Security Advisor on February 13th, 2017. 15. I believe my resignation letter to President Trump stated quite accurately what happened, and both he and the Vice President graciously accepted my apology.
Now, that answers somebody's question about stuff, right? Earlier, correct?
Yep.
Go ahead.
It should. The transition period was an incredibly intense time. I was communicating with representatives of multiple foreign countries in countless and varied issues every day, frankly, of national security dangers and concerns that weighed on our minds at the time. Sanctions on Russia were far from the most pressing threat or concern. We were dealing with many more serious crises around the world. The calls with Ambassador Kislyak were brief and few. They were no more exceptional than my numerous calls with personal interactions with any other senior representatives of governments from around the world during an exceedingly demanding work schedule. Scroll.
I'm scrolling. Keep that shady reading.
After I left the White House, I agreed to engage Kellner, his colleague Stephen Anthony at the Covington Lawyers to represent me in the FBI investigation and eventually the Special Counsel's Office investigation. They also continue to represent me at FIG in regards to FARA-related issues. At one of my first meetings with Mr. Kellner and Mr. Anthony, they asked me if I had anything on President Trump, as it would provide much more leverage with the government. I told them from the beginning that I was unaware of President Trump doing anything wrong. 17. With respect to FARA filing, my Covington counsel did not explain to me that there were any problems with the FARA filing that required Covington to re-examine any of the issues in August of 2017. I would have hired independent counsel to reevaluate the FARA filing or amend it if necessary, had I known the severity of this conflict. 18. To the best of my recollection and from my re-examination of the emails from August of 17, the vast majority of email traffic between me and Covington during that time was focused on the creation of my legal defense fund to pay my skyrocketing legal defense fees, by that time approaching $3 million. To that end, we put our Alexandria, Virginia home on the market in late November or December of 2017 timeframe to help pay the raising legal bills that we were incurring. We then moved to our family home in Rhode Island.
Let's stop right there. So this Covington essentially raped the general, guys.
Yep.
All right, continue. I'm sorry.
19. In late August of 2017, my wife and I were in Rhode Island. Kellner and Anthony emailed us to arrange a telephone call. The call then occurred while we were driving to have dinner with some friends. It was an approximately 15-minute phone call where we had pulled off of the side of the highway, and they informed us that there was a development regarding a conflict of interest. They also mentioned the possibility of Bijan being indicted. Speaking to the conflict of interest, they stated that they were prepared to defend us vigorously if the conflict became an issue, and we told them we trusted them. In November of 2017, the Special Counsel's Office created sudden and intense time pressure on me to plead guilty on November 4th of 2017. I believe my Covington attorneys told my wife and me that the Special Counsel's Office wanted to conduct a proffer session.
That's right. It's a proffer.
Yeah, proffer session with me. They told me that the SCO had yet to make a decision about how to proceed with me, and doing a proffer session would be a good way to let the SCO prosecutors get to know the real Mike Flynn.
Now let's, just so you know, proffer is to hold out something to someone for acceptance, an offer. He proffered his resignation, just to kind of get that, because I had to look it up too.
During this same meeting, my previous lawyers, Mr. Kellner and Mr. Anthony, proceeded to walk us through a series of items, essentially describing the risks of doing the proffer. From this meeting, I believe the following day I agreed to do the proffer primarily based on my understanding that they said if the proffer went well, being indicted would be less likely. Otherwise, my indictment would be soon. They did not raise FARA issues with me that day or anything about a conflict of interest. On November 16th, 2017, was the first day of the proffer with the SCO. That same evening, after concluding the first proffer, we returned to the Covington offices where my attorneys told me that the first day's proffer did not go well, and then proceeded to walk me through a litany of conceivable charges I was facing and told me that I was looking at the possibility of 15 years in prison. In 22, then they reiterated the threat of charges against me, my son, as well as the potential of a long-term prison sentence. That evening, we discussed, and they encouraged me to use words and phrases they believed would help me get through the next day's proffer and satisfy the special counsel phrases that are not part of my normal vocabulary.
So let's stop here. So Covington, the deep state lawyers that are taking down Flynn in collusion with the FBI, in collusion with the DOJ, told General Flynn what to say, and he trusted them, guys. Okay.
They told him what to do wrong. See? 23, during the second day of the proffer, I used words and phrases that were not really my own voice. And I regret that, just as I regret pleading guilty. People think that a three-star general must know everything, but I was a fish out of water in a terrifying and completely foreign situation with none of the legal skills necessary to deal with the many things being thrown at me. I hired the team of the best lawyers I had been told I could find, and I relied on them completely. One of the ways a person becomes a three-star general is by being a good soldier, taking orders, being part of a team, and trusting the people who provide information and support. Lori and I trusted Mr. Kellner and Mr. Anthony to guide us through the most stressful experience of our lives in a completely incomprehensible situation. I've never felt more powerless. I should have stood my ground firmly for what I knew to be the truth, that I did not lie to the agents. And I should have told the court on December 18, 2018, that I needed to consult my new counsel because my relationship with Covington disintegrated soon thereafter.
Right, if I can take over if you want.
Okay.
All right, in this 24, in this effort to say what they want approach during the proffer was noted by one of the interviewing agents who stopped me at some point to ask whether I was saying was something that really happened or whether I was just speculating. Analyzing with the past and the benefit of hindsight, I agreed with the agent I was mostly speculating. So they kind of led the witness, right? They led him. I recall Mr. Kellner's mention of conflict of interest in late August in a brief phone call, but I did not attach any serious significance to it. Likewise, I did not understand the legalistic email I received on November 19, 2017, the eve of my third day of proffers. Almost 3 months later, we trusted my attorneys and expected them to put my interest first, as they said they would do. 26, to have devoted my life to my country, only to be accused of crimes, slandered in the media with false and outrageous claims, and have my family threatened was an unimaginable nightmare. One of those that who have not walked in these shoes will find difficult to comprehend. 27, following our 4-day proffer on November 27th, I'm just going to move this a little bit for me here real quick. All right. Following our 4-day proffer on November 27th, Mr. Kellner and Anthony called my wife and me as we were driving to Rhode Island to spend Thanksgiving with family to tell me the SCO, the Special Counsel Office, planned to bring charges and that I should consider a plea. 28. The week leading up to November 30th, 2017, Kellner and Anthony advised that if I did not plead, I would be indicted on multiple counts and that my son, Michael G. Flynn, could or would face indictment. They repeated that I would not be looking at the potential, or that I would be looking at the potential of 15 years in prison, and that I said I would be, and said that I would be subjected to, quote, the Manafort treatment. 29. On November 30th, 2017, as plea negotiations with the SCO were coming to a head, I reiterated to my former lawyers, specifically Robert Kellner and Stephen Anthony, that I did not believe that I had lied in my White House interview with the FBI agents. I reminded them that I had spoken to representatives of well over 30 countries, mainly in a 24-hour period. During that very busy holiday season, the presidential transition period. In fact, some of these calls occurred while I was supposedly on, quote, vacation out of the country. Although I may have had an incomplete memory of many of the details of certain conversations when speaking to the agents, I did not consciously or intentionally lie. 30. During this same day later, Kellner and Anthony explained their view of how the government would go about providing its case and urged me to accept a plea deal that was on the table. They walked me through the, quote, final 302 in detail. They explained that if I did not accept the plea deal, that I should expect to be indicted by the next day. Right, guys? 31. Still struggling with the decision whether to plead guilty, I asked my former attorney to make further inquiry into the SCO prosecutors about whether the FBI agents believed that I had lied to them. In the preceding months leading up to this moment, I had read articles and heard rumors that agents did not believe that I lied, something I also firmly believed. 32. Mr. Kellner and Mr. Anthony left the room to call the SCO prosecutor. When they returned, they informed my wife and me that they had been told that the agents stand by their statements, because I was unaware that the agents had made statements described in this declaration. And because I was unaware of what had passed between my former lawyers and the SCO outside the room, I then understood them telling me that the FBI agents believed that I had lied. 33. My Covington attorneys counseled me to sign the statement of offense. 34. I agreed to plead guilty the next day, December 1st, 2017, because of the intense pressure from the SCO, which then included a threat to indict my son, Michael, and the lack of crucial information from my counsel. The SCO had already made Michael the subject of their investigation and taken all of his files and communications devices, computer, phones, files, and thumb drive. At that time, Michael and his wife had a 4-month-old baby. Nonetheless, I would not have pled guilty, and my former lawyers had informed me that both agents who interviewed me at the White House on January 24th, 2017, had advised that I displayed a, quote, sure demeanor. I did not give any indications of deception, and that is in their letter. We read that, it's in a Q post, right, guys? And C, both agents believed that there was no indication I was lying or that I believed I was lying. 35, at no time before my plea did former lawyers explain or disclose this to me. Had I been informed of these disclosures, I never would have pled guilty. Moreover, I would have expected my Covington counsel to refuse to allow me to plead guilty with that information. 36, I've spent my entire life accepting great responsibility. I accepted the plea agreement to stop the pain and the threats to my family and to accept responsibility for what the government I have defended and served for more than 33 years said I did wrong. However, if my counsel had informed me both agents and I showed sure demeanor, did not give any indications of deception, and I showed no indication that I was lying or that I believed I was lying, I would not have signed the plea agreement or entered a guilty plea. 37. My former lawyers from Covington also assured me on November 30th, 2017, that if I accepted this plea, my son Michael would be left in peace. After I signed the plea, the attorneys returned to the room and confirmed that the SCO would no longer be pursuing my son. 38. It was well after I pled guilty on December 1st, 2017, that I heard or read that the agents had stated that they did not believe that I had lied during the January 24th, 2017 White House interview and other information described in this declaration. Still, later, I heard reported from FBI Director Comey and FBI Director McCabe testified to Congress that the agents did not believe I lied. After learning this information, I reiterated to my former attorneys numerous times that I did not lie to the agents and questioned if I might be able to withdraw my plea. 39. Each time I raised this issue with my former attorneys, they urged me to stick with my plea deal. It was a good deal, or the government would indict me for multiple other offenses and also drag my son back into the crosshairs. Their constant refrain was to stay on the path, the deal they had negotiated. 40. In the days leading up to December 18, 2018 sentencing hearing, Robert Kellner and Stephen Anthony continued to urge me to stay on the path. They predicted correctly that the government would recommend a term of probation and that my son would not be further targeted. 41. However, during the December 28 hearing, Judge Sullivan's decision to proceed with an extended plea colloquy took both me and my former counsel completely by surprise. They had not prepared me for what occurred. The court's comments that day stunned me. The entire experience was surreal, and that was one of the worst days of my life. 42. My Covington attorneys had only prepared me for a simple hearing in which I would be sentenced to probation as the government had agreed. I was not prepared for this court's plea colloquy, much less to decide on the spot whether I should withdraw my plea, consult with independent counsel, or continue to follow my existing lawyers' advice. Prior to the sentencing hearing, they counseled me that if the court were to ask me if I wanted to withdraw my plea, that I should say no, because the court would be giving you the rope to hang yourself. Regretfully, I followed my lawyer's strong advice to confirm my plea, even though it was all I could do not to cry out no when this court asked me if I was guilty. 43. During the break in the hearing offered by the court, my former attorneys were as shocked as I as the colloquy and in the way in which hearings had proceeded. My wife, Lori, counseled me and my attorneys that we should accept the court's offer to postpone sentencing. In the late spring, this is 44, in the late spring of 2019, when Covington actually insisted I seek independent counsel, I did. New counsel immediately identified the conflict of interest, and then I terminated Covington. Conflict of interest, guys. 45, I realized my statement and determination to assert my innocence means the prosecutors, who already seek to imprison me, may reiterate further and seeking additional charges against me and dramatically increasing the penalty I face. 46, I express my profound apology to this court, my family, the president, our country, and all of who had supported and had faith in me throughout this incomprehensible ordeal. I tried to accept responsibility by admitting to offenses I understood the government I love and trusted said I committed. In truth, I never lied. My guilty plea has rankled me throughout this process, and while I allow myself to succumb to the threats from the government to save my family, I believe I was grossly misread about what really happened. 47. I will not confirm a plea deal I should never have entered. I have served my country honorably all my life and accepted responsibility myself and for others from a young age. As my sister Clara wrote to you in her beautiful letter on behalf of my siblings, as God as my witness, the truth is that I'm innocent of these charges and any other alleged criminal conduct, and I request to withdraw my plea of guilty, and I will fight to restore my good name. 48. To the best of my recollection, foregoing is true and correct. I declare under penalty of perjury under the laws of the United States of America in that foregoing is true and correct, executed on 29th day of January 2020, Michael T. Flynn.
And there you have it.
Right from the horse's mouth, folks.
That's the truth. That's what happened. That is what your media is still ignoring and pretending like Mueller's investigation and the special counsel was completely legit. I'm going to give you a couple other little pieces right here. Covington and Burling. Who was it that came into the 44 administration from Covington? Does anybody know? Do you guys know who it was that was kind of the head of that organization before?
You guys know? I won't answer.
I'm gonna see who can get it out here.
You're the boomerang. Wow. So this is real news. Somebody said Holder.
Holder.
There you go.
Sandy got it.
Sandy White.
That's right. So now also I'd like to tell you another little tidbit.
Good job, Mickey.
Remember that little graphic that we were reading yesterday that showed all the little names and stuff? Did you see a name on there named Trish Anderson? Remember how high she was in that whole chain of command?
Right here, Shady.
And on that list of treason underneath there?
Oh, yeah.
She went back to Covington before the general made his move away from them. Okay, right there she is. She was at Covington. Holder was at Covington. Do you guys really think that General Flynn didn't know what they were doing whenever they tried to horse around with him and play games with him at this interview? He knew they were trying to set him up. Your president knew that they were trying to set him up, and they worked with that plan. Okay, see how optics are working here? With this story, trust me whenever I say this, and this is a little bit maybe prophetic, but with this story, we are going to be able to expose all of their games. A mafia type machine running inside the DOJ to protect the people that were to be protected and to attack anyone who tried to out them or harm their swamp creatures. Okay?
Bringing us back to this, Shady.
That's right. This is all relevant, and this is why Q is posting this again, and this is what we are trying to explain to you. Notice in there also where he said, where they used, we're going to give you the Manafort treatment. See? Plants need water. Manafort was a plant. They needed an example. You see what's going on here right now. We just had this whole case with all these, Manafort and Stone and Flynn and do you remember the 13 Russians that they got, Matrix?
Oh, yeah.
Did you see the big headlines all over the news that a month ago that case was thrown out and they won their fight against the Justice Department?
That's right, because there's no evidence.
But there's not a single news story out there that'll tell you that.
Nope.
Because they don't want you to know. They want you running with the Acosta narrative, and he was on there this morning again being combative with the president as the president saying, look, this seems like something that shouldn't have been done to somebody. And Acosta is acting like General Flynn is guilty. Now, do you think Acosta has read what we just read?
Nope.
Do you think he's any type of research into this? No, he is going along with the narrative, ladies and gentlemen.
You know what he's going along with, and we've actually identified it. Q has pointed it to us, Shady. And let's just look at this right here. Here it is. This is basically Palpatine's revenge, right? And secure drop. Guys, our friends in New York still have a secure connection set up and waiting. That's the New York Times secure drop, folks. Game comes and secure drop. Now we're tying it all together, aren't we? What do you think, Shady?
I think that this is really huge, and I hope that all of you are seeing this.
So QPost 760 at Snowden, thank you for showing the world how clowns pass the narrative to journalists at 4 a.m. Reread crumbs regarding secure drop. John Perry Barlow, Q. Wow. Yeah, we covered the timestamp on that drop that it leads back to Flynn is safe. But interesting, right, guys?
I hope that everyone is starting to realize that, you have a group of people, a very slimy, swampy group of people at the center of this, and the majority of the people are standing there with their mouths hanging open going, how could they really do this to a 3-star general?
Here's a Stormy Joe Patriot decode, 7:50 p.m. when the flag was dropped. You go to look at timestamps that Q posted at 7:50, and you find one, Shady.
What do you find?
You find Q post 2218. Flynn exonerated soon. In the end, all will be right. Patriots protect Patriots. Q.
And I would like to also point out that in Q post number 1280, we had Flynn testimony captured on the record is the title of that post. That was April 27, 2018.
Tell me the number one more time. Let me grab
1280.
Only because I can
This
do it
was
faster.
2 years ago. 2 years and 3 days ago. Done in 30. 30 in the kill brackets. 1280. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, there you go. 30 in kill boxes. Fox News reported about claimed that FBI agents did not think Flynn lied despite guilty plea. Why would Flynn plead guilty to something untrue? Define testimony. Define on record. Who knows where the bodies are buried? Flynn is safe. Expand your thinking. Now, this is the cool thing. Done in 30. This happened at the beginning of December of 2017. Today represents 30 months since this began. Today.
Wow.
30 months. So for the Seb Gorka, Jack Posobiec, whatever the heck his other names are out there, Stranahan, all of you Cernovich, mainstream, quote unquote, alternative media, seems really like you're getting ready to eat some crow, because we've been trying to show you this stuff for years now, and you have ostracized us, you have attacked us, you have called us names, you have said that we're wrong. And right now, we just read you exactly what we had, information that we were trying to show you 2 years ago that you completely ignored and told us that this was garbage. So we were told by alternative media sources that this stuff was garbage and that there are no sealed indictments and it's all BS. And things like Andrew Breitbart didn't think that John Podesta was a pedophile. All these types of narratives that they went with. I was best friends. This is what Stranahan said. I was best friends with John Podesta or with Andrew Breitbart, and he wasn't going after Podesta for anything like that. He said that in public to me or to Dustin Nemos while he was doing the thing. So you guys realize this is a cover up on every single level of our reality. The very first post that mentioned General Flynn was on October 31st, 2017, which was 2 days after Q started to drop. Okay, we have been chasing this story for almost 2.5 years.
We got Sainted Anon trolls in here, apparently, Shady.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're
What
an
did they
Israeli.
say? They what?
I guess we're being called Israelis by Tainted Moron.
Oh, yeah. The tainted moron called me an Israeli.
Yep, the guy that lives in Canada where I actually voted for Donald J. Trump.
Well, let me tell you something. You can call me whatever you want, but I'm American. And Sainted Anon, you want me to talk about what Sainted Anon's last name is?
Sinclair?
Maybe the Sinclairs should pipe down.
Boy, do you remember seeing the Sinclair media and all those things? Huh?
I've done my digging.
Yeah.
Sainted Anon troll.
Yeah. So if you guys, what's your problem? I just learned about Sainted last night. Well, go over to Sainted Anon. And let me, use your discernment, friend. What patriot attacks another patriot?
You're saying I'm like what, in bed with Mossad? Is that your story?
That's actually not him. That's Alex Jones. Let's watch what Alex Jones is doing.
Oh yeah, let's go and give you some people who are working for that organization.
Yeah, this is good. I mean, I think it's I'm like, do I even really watch this? Let's watch this.
We're gonna watch it for entertainment, like we would watch professional wrestling.
Here's who Sainted Anon actually works for.
I will eat my neighbors. I'm not letting my kids die. I'm just going to be honest. My superpower is being honest. I've extrapolated this out, and I won't have to for a few years because I got food and stuff. But I'm literally looking at my neighbors now and going, I'm ready to hang them up and gut them and skin them and chop them up. And you know what? I'm ready. My daughters aren't starving to death. I'll eat my neighbors. See, my superpower is being honest. I'll eat your ass. I will. I'm combat model, optimum self-sufficiency. Probably the leader. The point is have you thought about that yet? Because I'm somebody that thought I could fix this, and I'm starting to think about having to eat my neighbors. You think I like sizing up my neighbor, how I'm going to haul him up by a chain?
Listen to this.
And chop his ass up? I'll do it. My children aren't going hungry. I will eat your ass. And that's why I want the globalists to know. I will eat your ass first.
I'm sure he believes in
You're
Jesus,
not,
right,
we're gonna
Shady?
Dig you out of those bunkers. We're going to dig you out of those holes. You make us eat up. Let me tell you something right now. I swear to God, if it's the last thing I do, I'm going to get my hands around your throat. And you know that's why you're begging for peace right now. You should have thought about that when you turned down Christ a long time ago. You want to meet with me, you Satanist? meet with me. How about you get on your knees to Christ? You'd meet with my boss right now. I will eat you. All you spirit cookers act all tough all day.
Jeez.
How you're doing your little satanic rituals, drinking blood and stuff. I'll drink your blood. You understand that? I will hang your ass up and cut you into cutlets like a filet mignon and grill your ass before I watch my daughters starve to death.
This is a man of Christ, right, Shady?
You took society and civilization as if it was some joke you could piss on all day. Didn't you understand? You unleash the animal. Once you do, you unleash the beast, and you're not the beast. I don't claim I'm the most tough guy around, but compared to you, I'm Godzilla on steroids.
Is that red pilling?
That's red pilling.
That's red pilling from the mouth of information warfare.
That's right.
Info wars, guys. Think about what you're watching right now. If I'm hungry, I'm going to go eat grass before I kill my neighbor.
Yeah, there's plenty of plants we can eat, guys. You know, I'm not thinking about. Shady, did you hear the graphic by a chain?
He's very determined to eat his neighbors. I think that we might want to try to find out who lives next to Alex Jones
and warn him.
Might literally be in danger. He just threatened them.
I'm sizing up my neighbor. Frank,
Sizing up my neighbor. Yeah,
get my bone broth ready.
I took him some extra bread. Hopefully, you fatten him up.
Do you think his vitamins come from China, guys?
Pretty sure they do.
Frank, get the bone broth. And I'm going to grab you by the neck. Weird, guys. I'm sorry. I just had to show you that.
He keeps turning into the demon.
Yep. Oh, gosh. It's funny. Saint Anon is making the rounds here on the chat, but pray for him. And here we go. General Flynn was a devoted officer who served his country in 2 wars. But when democracy came under Russian attack, he undermined the government he once served, told Russia not to sweat the coming sanctions. He then lied to the VP, the press, and the FBI. And by the way, he pled guilty. Hey, Greg, F you, says Joe Flynn.
All of us.
Press 17 if you say, hey, Greg, F you.
Thank you, Joe Flynn, for saying it. I had to make a comment on there. I was like, I agree with this gentleman.
I concurred. But we read you Devin Nunes's memo. I mean, so now we've read you. The media is not going to show you this stuff, guys.
They don't want you to see it. They know if they show you anything close to this, it's going to wake too many people up.
Look at Greg. Look at other people that are saying F you, Greg P. Miller.
Take your mainstream media narrative and shove it, sir.
He's got a Pulitzer Prize from the Washington Post. He works for Bezos. Interesting.
I'm a bigger putz than the next guy, he says. Wait.
Just ask him. He'll tell you.
He's proud of it.
Yeah. So, this is the stuff that we're dealing with, guys. Our president, Donald J. Trump, also has protecting the meat supplies. So Alex Jones does not need to eat his neighbor. Shady.
Well, that's good news for Alex Jones's neighbor.
Wow, right? So, but he'd rather fearmonger you and think that we're going to run out of food. Do you understand the tactics that he's using? Remember we talked about fear and love? Do you like Alex Jones's fear, or would you rather have love? Just a question. Asking for a friend.
Asking for a country.
Asking for a country, right?
So with this matrix, I wanted to show you, I've got this pinned to my Twitter right now. It's very informative, but I would like to, real quick, before we get out of here, I would like to read the notice from our wonderful Department of Justice. You okay?
Let's do it.
All right. So this is the notice that your Department of Justice just issued, and they would like for you to know. Quote, law enforcement may not arrest, threaten, or intimidate citizens exercising their right to peaceably assemble. Summary of United States Code Title 18, Section 242. Section 242 of Title 18 makes it a crime for a law enforcement officer acting under color of any law to willfully deprive a person of a right or privilege protected by the Constitution or laws of the United States. The Constitution specifically names the right to peaceably assemble as a right given to all citizens and protected by the Constitution. Persons acting under color of law within the meaning of this statute includes police officers, prison guards, and other law enforcement officials, as well as judges, care providers in public health facilities, and others who are acting as public officials. The offense is punishable by a range of imprisonment up to a life term or the death penalty, depending upon the circumstances of the crime and the resulting injury, if any. And let's review Title 18 USC Section 242. Whoever, under color of any law, statute, ordinance, regulation, or custom, willfully subjects any person in any state, territory, commonwealth, possession, or district to the deprivation of any rights, privileges, or immunities secured or protected by the Constitution or laws of the United States shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 1 year or both if bodily injury results from these acts committed in violation of this section, or if such acts include the use, attempted use, or threatened use of a dangerous weapon, explosive, or fire, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned no more than 10 years or both if death results from the acts committed in violation of this section, or if such acts include kidnapping or an attempt to kidnap, aggravated sexual abuse, or an attempt to commit aggravated sexual abuse, or an attempt to kill, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned for any term of years, for life, or both, or may be sentenced to death. Now, this is your Constitution, ladies and gentlemen. This is what guarantees you the right of sovereignty. This is what you need to be understanding about what the harassment levels are across our country right now. Your public officials are not immune to the constitutional restrictions that they have according to you. Recognize this. They serve you. They serve you. You do not serve them. They are there to help you. They are not there to harm you. If they do harm you, then this applies. If they do stop you from peaceably assembling, this applies. If they do tell you to get off the beach, this applies. If they do pull you over and say you can't be on the road, this applies. If they do stop you with your friends, talking to your neighbors, or trying to go to their friend's house, or taking your kids over to their friend's house with the video that we saw yesterday, this applies. Recognize your power. And if I can say anything to you today, I would like to point you directly back to General Flynn's problem and what they did to him, and show you what this means. Your rights are not negotiable instruments. They exist before your Constitution. Get this in order. Your rights existed. Your Constitution was put in place as a barrier between your rights and asshat officials. Remember that. That is your barrier. They protect themselves in this game. You are not protecting yourselves in this game, and we've got to flip that script. Remember, they serve you. And we're going to go a little bit deeper into all of this tomorrow night on the Q Lounge.
Tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night, we're going to dig into why your sheriffs are important, and we're going to dig into where their authority comes from, and we're going to dig into how you can start adjusting this in your specific districts and start being involved. You're going to have to get involved. You guys out there in chat right now, if you think that your job is to sit back on the couch and drink a cold one and watch Q and the president do all the heavy lifting, well, I'm here to tell you, you are grossly mistaken. That is not what's going on here. What is going on here is you are being made to be motivated by the fact that you want to save your document that's being shredded in between you and the state. Okay? That document, the Constitution of the United States of America, protects you from the state. It does not protect the state from you. Okay? Get that through your head and understand that that's where we're going with this. And you have got to know who your sheriff is. I would like for every one of you living in America right now to today go do some research about who is my sheriff and what in the world is he doing in my district, and realize that any official who approaches you or impedes you to immediately have your phone, have your device, have your paper. You want their badge number, you want their name, and you want any type of superior that has instructed them to do such, including a mayor or a governor. Mayors and governors are not immune. As a matter of fact, they're over prosecutable because they are entrusted with the public good. Okay? we have got to get loud, and we have got to understand that we, the people, have the power, not the swamp creatures in government. And if you don't recognize the hugeness of the relevance of this, take no further sight than reread General Flynn's statement and what they put him through. If they can do this to General Flynn and they can do this to the President of the United States, then they sure as can do it to you, guys. I want to be very strong and clear on that.
So we got a Q Lounge Live Friday, folks. What time is that at, Shady?
It'll be 6 p.m. on the East Coast.
That's 9 East. 9 East?
9 on the East, 6 on the West.
I was going to say 6, dude. I'll be having dinner right about that time.
You'll be
Shady, what if we were to take the Q post to the next level?
What do you think about that?
What do you think about this, guys? Here are the Q posts. And we've got them all mapped out, folks.
We've been working.
Well, we've been meeting really great patriots. I'll tell you that right now. And, you know, we had one Q board that kind of left us, but I think we're going to be over the top with the next one, Shady. And I met an amazing patriot right now. And basically everything is connected. Everything. Every post is in there. Here are all the posts. You know, let's just, you know, you take one. We can go to Q post. You know, what Q post you want to go to here, Shady? What about, let's 400. What do you think? Let's go to Q post 400. It's very amazing. I mean, it takes a minute to load, but I will actually have one for the you know, for my desktop as well. That'll be a little faster. We can give you a lot more presentations. But look at this software, guys. Here it is. Trip entered but not showing. You know, so that's what it is. There's your anonymous. There it is right there. You go back. You can expand it. I mean, this is just...
It's going to have all the posts right at your fingertips, kind of.
Phenomenal. And everything researching as well. Right, so you'll
which means like all the relevant threads of any particular Q post connecting back to whatever else it connects to in the Q post, guys.
Right. We've got timestamps, we've got Q topics, we've got the trip codes, all the different trip codes Q used. We've got Q proofs, we've got the posts, we've got the boards, we've got Q code words, Q IDs, Q keywords, Q legend, Q map. All right here at your fingertip, guys. And there's more coming too. This gentleman that I met today is absolutely amazing, and he did this. And hopefully we'll be able to put this on the website and have a real Q aggregator and research tool, because we're going to have years and years of research, guys.
This is only just beginning.
So we've got the Q post there, and I just kind of want to show off a little bit too, because when I spoke to him, he also has what he calls the everything. So let's take a look at one real quick. So here is, let me just pull one up, Shady. This is the one I think I want to pull up. This is everything, and these are your states when they were incorporated. Here's the state of Delaware, all the states and dates and everything that goes back, and all the information. You click on it and it comes up. I mean, this could be a good education tool going forward when we have to rewrite history, right? Here's the Payseurs. What about this? Look at this. Lewis Cass Payseur Trust Company and all the railroads. He's got it broken down. Everything is there. He's got the assets, the food, the mining, the utilities, the banks. All of it is here. He's got the whole Payseur bloodline mapped here, guys. So
nothing to do with this P word.
Nothing to do with P word. So now we're going to actually be able to have facts backing up, you know, the P, and, you know, we'll have conversations about it and presentations. I'm actually very excited to get that done, guys. So that's kind of what I wanted to do, Shady. And with the General Flynn stuff today, I want to play this really quick. It's 3 minutes long, and we'll come right back, guys. Check it out. This is VV, guys. Q post 3330.
Please welcome retired United States Army Lieutenant General and former Director of the Defense Intelligence Agency, Michael Flynn.
As Ronald Reagan said, and I quote, "If we lose freedom here, there is no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth." We are just beginning. I promise you that Donald Trump knows that the primary role of the president is to keep us safe. Donald Trump's leadership, decision-making, and problem-solving abilities will restore America's role as the undeniable and unquestioned world leader.
There it is, VV. That is Q3330. Where we go one? We go all. Shady already must have left. But hey, that's it, guys. That is the show today. Wow, a Q Lounge live tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern. I can't wait. And remember, we've got that coming up. Please join us tomorrow for the Q Lounge live. We're going to be on standby for tomorrow. If Q doesn't post, we might just take the afternoon off if you guys don't mind. But with that, we are going to get out of here, folks. We are going to get... Oh, there he is. Hey, welcome back, brother.
I said we go all. You didn't hear me.
No. Oh, he was talking into mute. Where we go one.
We go all.
That's right. I want to see we go all. Is it some guys or is it all? Tell me. Where we go one.
We'll bring Sainted with us.
We're going to bring Sainted on with us too because he is all too. Come on, guys. I mean, the stupid attacks, guys. Are you guys done with it? Are you guys done with the stupid attacks yet?
No, they like it too much.
You guys like it too much?
Yeah, that's too much fun.
Look at all the alls. Look at you guys. Much love to you guys. This is Shady Groove right here. Say goodbye, Shady.
Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. I really want to say that I'm so proud of you, and I am here. Matrix is here to help empower you to stand in your freedom, ladies and gentlemen. They're trying to take it, and they don't own it. They
don't own it. Shady. And again, tomorrow, if Q does not post tonight, if he continues posting, we'll be here tomorrow at 1. Otherwise, 9 p.m. Eastern on this channel for the Q Lounge Live, Shady.
And everyone out there, if you do not know, there is a tremendous amount of information in the past episodes of the Q Lounge. I structured those shows starting in June of 2018 to help normal people understand the blueprints and the architecture of the deep state. That was my whole intention. And throughout the first 6 months or 8 months or so of the lounge, I was digging deep into the Q post and stuff. And then since Matrix and I have kind of combined forces, I sort of re-engineered the show to be more in-depth and not really digging into every single Q post every week. So there's a ton of information, and that channel is Truth for Freedom. And all the episodes for the last year and a couple of months are here on the channel as well. So you can find them in both places. And please refer to people who you are currently red pilling to help them understand some more that there's a lot of good info there.
That's right. And that's the Q Lounge Live. Truth for Freedom YouTube channel is where all of the episodes are. And what, the last maybe year here too, Shady?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so Q Lounge Live. Let's just bring a little music in. All right, Shady, I had to do it. While you were talking about it, I was playing it on mute. But that's our Shady Groove. Q Lounge Live tomorrow, guys. And with that, we are out, guys.
Boom.
Boom shaka laka. Join us tomorrow, 9 p.m. East, 6 p.m. West, for the Q Lounge Live right here on In the Matrix channel. Shitty, I'm just going to call it. We're going to take tomorrow off so we can get you prepared for the Q Lounge. Much love, guys. Put the armor on. Armor up. I heard somebody want silent running. Let's go.
Network.